Welcome to the High Ground podcast, and we're back doing part 4 of our Quentin Tarantino retrospective.
Yay!
It's we're going to classify, because classifying with one film, sort of, is Kill Bill Volumes 1 and 2. So, Volume 1 was released 2003 in October, with Volume 1 was released October 2003, with Volume 2 April 2004. Thoughts on the movie?
I think this is quite common, but I think if we're doing the volume thing, Volume 1 is, I think Volume 1's better. But I will say, and we just said this earlier, if you watch them back to back as one film, it is much better. So much better. I think the only thing that stopped it being a full film was the length, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I still count it as one film.
I agree. It's one film. I actually like the second. The first, stylistically, I think the first part of Volume 1 is the better film. But I've got such a soft spot for the second part. I like the color palettes, the more browns and the more westerny.
Like greys with Pai Mei. It's almost black and white, isn't it?
Yeah. And I like the character of Pai Mei. He's brilliant, and But the first one is the action in it is superb. It's got some fantastic set pieces. So
like the House of Blue Leaves, is it?
Yeah.
The sword fight in that is, and just the callback to Bruce Lee with the yellow outfit and
Game of Death, if I'm right.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's ironically the suit everyone remembers, but it's from the worst film.
Yeah. But okay, we'll get the technical stuff out of the way. I went on this from IMDb. I'm assuming because they were filmed back to back, so they're going for the individual films. So both were made for $30 million.
Yeah.
Volume 1 grossed over 180 million, while Volume 2 grossed 154, which I find kind of weird, because you think people would have gone to see saw Volume 1 would have gone straight to Volume 2.
Yeah, you think like they want to see how it ends, wouldn't you? But I don't know. Maybe that was I suppose that was quite a bit for 2003 and 4 for independent. They're still independent films, aren't they, technically?
Miramax, yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird seeing when you watch it now with Weinstein's name.
Oh yeah, it's really weird.
So
like seeing a film with Kevin Spacey in, isn't it?
Yeah. I was watching, I think it was Fanboys. It's produced by him as well. I was like, oh.
All right.
So when you see, kind of funny, these names at the time who were like big in cinema, now you just look at it and go, oh.
Yeah.
Oh. So it's Volume. We'll just call it Kill Bill unless we're actually picking out individual sequences.
Yeah.
So what is actually your opinion on
it? I do actually quite like it. When it first came out, I was like, I was living and breathing Tarantino, because that's sort of where I discovered him, and it was his fourth film, wasn't it?
Fourth film.
Yeah, so I think
as director.
It was always an event whenever one of his films comes out. Like it's always the fifth film by Quentin Tarantino or whatever. I didn't manage to see it so much because I was too young. So I saw it when it first came out on DVD, I think, and then I'm sure I got to see Volume 2. I don't know if I was old enough. 2004.
2004.
So I would have been 16. Yeah. No, it's an 18, isn't it?
18,
yeah. No, I wasn't old enough. Damn. No, but I remember. Yeah, no, I loved it when it first came out. Then I went through a phase of not liking it so much. When you do your sort of pompous Tarantino phase where you go, "Oh, nothing's better than Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs."
I do. I agree. It's a departure, and when you watch, I've got I've been a Tarantino in terms of his directorial work since '93 when I read Reservoir Dogs. So you got Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown. Then this, which is a complete departure, because whereas it's a departure visually, but when you listen to the dialogue, I noticed this when I was listening to especially The Bride.
Yeah.
She is very. You can imagine some of the dialogue being from Pulp Fiction, as it's got the same kind of beats,
Yeah.
delivery, which is I think is fantastic. But in terms of visuals, it is completely different. It's like Tarantino's trying something different, and he's succeeded. And
Yeah.
it's just pure. I mean, like I said, it's not one of my favorites by a long shot. I mean, it gets lost. That and Inglorious Bastards, probably my least two watched. So, but to actually, we switched off all the lights. We put on a projector and we had it be playing on the wall back to back. So watching it like that, it's just you really appreciate it. Thank you. When lockdown's over, we will be doing it, and we'll probably do a commentary track on one of his films after we've done these.
I mean, I think like you say, the color palette is really striking, and I think it's his sort of his sort of go at doing a sort of more comic booky sort of film, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Or like a pastiche of all the 70s kung fu stuff, because I mean, there's even an anime sequence in it, isn't there?
Yeah, I completely forgot about that, and I'm
I
watching
did as well. Yeah.
It's just they did it with the directors in the extended cut of Watchmen, but it works so much. I mean, don't get me wrong, the extended cut of Watchmen with the black rate is brilliant, but way that they just blended it into Kill Bill, it's superb. It really is, and
it's just like a flashback, isn't it?
And I love that whole sequence where it leads up to it, how she's half American, half Chinese, half Japanese, and the bit where she decapitates the guy. I was like, do not ever bring that up. Do not bring it. That's the only thing that's off subject. And it's that the calmness in her voice as she's doing it. I mean, superb, absolutely superb. But
one thing he always has is an eye for great actors, isn't it? Like,
oh yeah.
Even actors I wouldn't necessarily normally like Lucy Liu and Daryl Hannah, like they're fantastic in it because they just embody the characters they're supposed to see. I mean, Elle Driver's probably my favorite character in the film, or both volumes, whatever. I just think she's funny, and she's like really hard, and I think she's a really good sort of foil for the bride. I was a bit disappointed with that fight scene in the second one because it was sort of over too quickly.
Yeah.
Where she sort of just plucks her eye out.
That is gross.
Some grand fight.
Oh, that was when I was watching. I was like, it doesn't matter how many times you watch it. That is just. But I mean, I remember Daryl Hannah from Blade Runner.
Yeah.
So to see her, and because she's years have passed since Blade Runner.
But Chris, doesn't she?
Yeah, and she's just. But it's. She's still got it. She does.
Yeah, I remember from Splash as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I haven't seen that in a long time. It's one I really should get a hold of because it's Ron Howard, and I do like Ron Howard. But I mean, the casting is superb. I mean, you look at in volume 2, Rufus, who plays the piano, Samuel L. Jackson. I'm like, wow. But I think no one says dialogue, even if in minimalist dialogue, like Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, true. And you do get to fight the Phil space as well, don't you?
Yeah. And I like the way that they just introduce, you don't find out Uma Thurman's character's name right until the second film, because all throughout the first, they're bleeping it out. Just a great bit of cinema. And
that was another thing that disappointed me about Volume 2. I never wanted to know what her name was. She was just the bride to me all the time.
Yeah.
But I know you're trying to go for like the fact that she's not the bride anymore, that she's found her daughter. She's a person that she was before.
Yeah. But he waits to the last moment. It's like drawing. I think it draws the attention. You are actually watching a film. Which is what I think he does. That's why the whole thing's allowed. Another thing is how. And it's one thing I like is how you got some of the quote Tarantino lot in the film. You got Uma Thurman from Pulp Fiction. You got Michael Madsen from Reservoir Dogs, which I think is brilliant having him back. It was Michael Parks as Earl McGraw from Dusk Till Dawn, and Michael Bowen, who's in Jackie Brown. He plays Buck,
All right.
and we all know what Buck likes to do. And I think that's absolutely, I thought it was brilliant. I did, and
Jackie Brown, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I recognise him. I was like, oh yeah, that's. I know another thing. I know the cinematographer on Kill Bill, Robert Richardson. He also did Inglourious Basterds, Django Unchained, Hateful Eight, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
All right, so a collaborator then.
Yeah, so it's. I just don't like, because I mean, I think photography on, if you look at them all, I just. Yeah, it's superb, and that's the one where you start collaborating with him. So yeah, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is like Tarantino at his best. Even Hateful Eight, if you look at the color palette on there. But that's just going off a bit. So
I think all his films have like color palette specifically, don't they?
Yeah.
Like you can recognize each one because of how they look.
Definitely.
And this one more so than the others, I think, especially because it's the colours are dialed up, the blood's dialed up, the excessiveness is dialed up.
But you are watching a 70s style movie.
Yeah.
And the bit where he decapitates and everything, especially with Lucy Liu.
Yeah.
Oren Ishii, well, she's doing it, and that just bit their head, and literally the blood all went.
Like an old sort of Japanese. I mean, one of the films that Tarantino based Kill Bill on was a film called Lady Snowblood in the 70s. It's like a Japanese sort of. It's the same sort of thing. It's like a rape revenge thing where she goes after these people that killed her husband and tried to rape her and stuff. But she uses obviously a samurai sword in that, and the blood is like geysers, like the old samurai movies. But some of the soundtrack is from that film as well.
Nice.
The song when she kills Ren at the end, when she scalps her, that's from that.
That's good. It's good. That bit, sequence is superb. It's like you pointed out. You think you pointed out is about the sword play.
Yeah.
One thing that I noticed, because I recently watched Highlander, and we've watched Star Wars quite a bit. Ones that when they're it's like when most times when you get your swords out, you have a lot of bit of showboating first. No one literally gets their sword out and just goes straight to work. They always do like a little move or something, or there's a big battle. Yeah. But with the bride, there's no showboating. Every action she makes is deliberate. There's nothing. She's supposed to be like a great sword person, and when you get films with assassins or someone they go, oh, they were the greatest sword person, or something great with a weapon. There's always showboating, and it takes them a while to do the job. With the bride,
James Bond does it.
Pardon?
James Bond does it, doesn't he?
Yeah. But now it's with the bride. It's deliberate. There's no glamour to it. She takes out the legs. She takes out the arms. It's very minimalistic in her moves. And I was watching. I was like, that is superb, because there's a bit where she's fighting in this in that room with the blue silhouettes, the blue black and the everything. That reminded me of the end of Highlander, Kurgan versus McLeod.
I never thought about that till you said that, but I love that shot because it's like a sort of. It's just you're not seeing everything; you're just seeing it behind the screen, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does remind me. Yeah, the end fight, isn't it, on Highlander?
The one before he decapitates the Kurgan. And what got me was, during that shot, there's a lot of, wow, look at us, we're fighting with swords. This is deliberate, bang, 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 bang. And it goes back to, like I said, I hate to bring this one up, John Wick, where he's supposed to be like the great assassin or whatever he is, hitman. And yet there's times you're thinking, my God, how do you do it without any help? But the bride, you believe that she is an assassin because here's a sword. Is it a sword or is it a katana?
Yes, it's a type of sword. Yeah,
Yeah.
they call them katanas.
Yeah. I don't want to be pulled up to you by any of our listeners.
No, it's a sword to sword.
Yeah, and I like. I just thought it was just so superb. She's taken on all these people, but every action is just and it just thought it was that spot on, and the music and everything in the scene.
Well, it's like how to get the target she's after is in that scene overend.
Yeah.
So these people are just in the way of
Yeah.
what she wants to get to. And the same with when she talks to, I can't remember her name, but Vivica Fox's character at the beginning. And the kid walks in, she does sort of stop, but she's definitely still this woman because
Benita Green.
that's after.
Yeah,
Benita Green.
Yeah, but the bride is willing to do it how it should be done without her daughter, without Benita Green's daughter around. But she makes a mistake and gets killed a bit early. But there's no but
that was supposed to be like the plot for a sequel, wasn't it? That her daughter was going to be looking for revenge against the bride.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it ever got sort of. I think even Tarantino said that. I don't know if he said he would ever do a sequel to any of his films, but
there is. I mean, I was looking the other day, and there is on I think if you go on Tarantino on IMDb. I mean, it means nothing being on there until it's all confirmed. But it's apparently allegedly been announced, Kill Bill Volume 3. But I've not heard anything of it, so I mean, I would like to.
No, because then it will take up one of the number slots, and we're down to the last two, depending on how you sort of count this.
Yeah,
the last one.
I don't really think if they do a Volume 3, we can count it as a Tarantino movie, because I'd want him to direct it because anybody else wouldn't be able to do the same job. But
I was going to say he probably wouldn't, would he? He'd probably write it, and someone else would do it. But yeah, that wouldn't be the same. And although it is the only Tarantino film that you could probably do a sequel to, that would suit a sequel. I mean, all the others seem sort of wham bam and done, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like they're singular stories. Whereas I think Kill Bill does lend itself to sequelization because it's like one of those, like we said, the 70s sort of kung fu movies, and they always had loads of sequels, didn't they? And I think it would fit a sequel, but I don't want one.
No.
Is what I'm trying to say.
Because other than Benita Green's daughter, you've only got Ellie Driver's, because she's blinded, but
I suppose you could. I was going to say you could bring Bill back, but David Carradine's not alive anymore.
No, but he did walk away after the 5 finger. That was good. That was good. The way that Pai Mei is. Oh, I love Pai Mei. I think he's brilliant.
Pai Mei is the role. I think. I don't. If anyone doesn't know, Tarantino always wanted Bruce Lee for this film.
Yeah.
If he was alive, and I'm pretty sure Pai Mei would have been the role he would have played, or Bill maybe. I don't know.
I think David Carradine he's Bill. I mean, I could never imagine anybody else playing him at Pai, but Pai Mei definitely.
Because the whole Pai Mei thing is sort of playing on the TV series he was in years ago, Kung Fu, isn't it?
But a little. I was gonna say, well, you said about Bruce Lee. Yeah. Now, what do you think? I mean, I know Shannon Lee and the Bruce Lee estate aren't happy with the way that Bruce was portrayed in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. What do you think?
I thought it was fantastic, actually. I mean, I've never seen the guy that played him is, I mean, spot on. Like, it was spooky almost. Like, it was like watching him like back again. And I think if Bruce was alive, he wouldn't have been too bothered about it either. I think he would have laughed.
I think he'd have saw the funny side. I mean, because
he always seemed like a guy that had like a sense of humour. I mean, his characters in all his films have senses of humour, don't they?
I mean, the argument is that Bruce is parodying Bruce, and that they don't want people to think if you go to see a Tarantino movie, you know what you would know what Bruce Lee was really like, and this is a caricature
Yeah.
of him. So I think I agree with you. I think you'd have liked it, and the whole thing about because that's one of my favorite scenes in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So, but yeah,
it's like saying in Inglourious Basterds, oh, Hitler wasn't like that. Well, like you say, it's the Tarantino verse where everyone is up for a sort of a drilling, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like everyone can be caricatured. I think if you take it that seriously, then you've missed the point.
Exactly.
Every single one of his films not acknowledges, but he knows you're watching a film, a form of entertainment.
Yeah, you look at Pulp Fiction. Some of the characters are dead, and you put on scene the next scene.
Yeah,
it's
playing with the non-linear timelines and stuff like that. That's something I would specifically think of it Tarantino-esque, even though there are like people that have done it before, like Goddard and Antonioni and stuff like that. But yeah, I think he sort of creates his own universe, doesn't he?
Yeah.
It's not Bruce Lee Bruce. It's not Bruce, but it's like his version of Bruce Lee.
Yeah. What you said about the whole non-linear thing, I mean, you actually is it this? Yeah, I should have wrote these down. The second kill is actually the first kill. The kills out of order in Kill Bill.
What in Kill Bill?
Yeah.
Yeah, because she's got the pussy wagon, hasn't she?
Yeah.
Which she doesn't get till later.
Yeah, but you don't. But even though, and this is the thing with Tarantino, because even since Pulp Fiction, you accept that he doesn't do a linear narrative, and I think that's brilliant. As a rule, he doesn't do a linear narrative. That's just
I think the one that's got like a sort of a proper linear narrative is, I don't know. If there was one, I would think, is it maybe Jackie Brown? That's quite start to finish, isn't it?
Yeah. Hateful Eight is.
I think because it's an adaptation, though.
Yeah. Hateful Eight and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, because Once Upon a Time in Hollywood actually follows the direct timeline. And even though Hateful Eight even goes back and forth with flashbacks.
Yeah, about the black dingaling thing.
Yeah. I Hateful Eight. I love that film. That is one which we will have to. We'll be mining Tarantino for a long while. Trust me.
Oh yeah, I mean we're doing this film, so
yeah.
We've got 4 more.
Yeah, then we've got the commentary tracks and the breakdowns and a little thing. I go up through IMDb when I was watching the film, and sometimes I'm curious about what ever happened to such and such. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I've got a nice little bit of trivia for you. Now, okay. Bibi, the daughter, Bill and the bride's daughter, yeah, played by Perla Hanni Jardine, yeah.
Yeah.
You know who she grew up to be? In Tarantino verse. Pardon?
She does look familiar.
She is the hippie that sells Brad Pitt the acid-dipped cigarette from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
All right, wow.
I was like, so I literally after I finished watching it, I mean, she's only in it for a few seconds, where she sells him the cigarette, and I'm like, this is so cool. After all those years, it's like, wow.
Keeps it all in the family, doesn't he?
Yeah, but it's nice to know that they actually brings her back, even though it's not. It's just like an extra part where she just goes up to the car, and yeah.
I get the sense that he is I don't know, like a jovial sort of guy that's easy to get on with. So I've never heard anyone say. I mean, I think the only thing I've heard is the controversy with this, actually, isn't it? Where he wouldn't use a stunt driver, and Uma Thurman really hurt herself. I mean, I don't think they talk.
They went for a period of not talking. I don't know.
They made up of it.
I think. Don't quote me on that though.
Yeah.
But I'd like to see them work together again. She does this dialogue absolutely brilliantly, and I mean, as you know, obviously listeners because you're listening to us talk about it, you're obviously next level film fanatics. And you know, Tarantino is someone I'd love to sit down with and just watch films with, just see
Yeah.
what he's, you know, it's like what we do after when we're not doing in different houses. We'll literally watch. We'll pick a film each of you what we want the other to enjoy, and we'll do it like that. So that's the sort of thing that I think it'd be so cool to do. You know, it'd be nice to actually have a list of films of Tarantino. You know, even a channel or once a week if someone could pick it if they had something that would actually show a Tarantino film that he would recommend, that would be just education.
Yeah.
And I just think
whenever he's on set, you know, whenever he's on set, people just say he's just like a kid with so much energy, like, and knowledge about what he's talking about. Like if he's setting up a shot, he'll say, "Oh, it's like from this one from 1970, whatever," you know, like, and it is the sort of thing that, you know, we would be like on a film set.
Yeah.
Or any film fanatic.
I'd be literally writing, you know, it'd be the sort of thing, writing notes, you know, about what films you should be educated in, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's education outside of the mainstream cinema, and it's nice to discover if you like a film and it's been inspired by something. It's good to discover films from. I mean, like with Star Wars, this is my one per podcast. How if you're the next level of fan, you'll go out and you'll watch American Graffiti and you'll watch THX 1138. And as with Tarantino, it makes you want to. I remember after Jackie Brown, I watched Foxy Brown and Coffee because they're the only Pangreal films I could get hold of, and it's good to you know what inspired your heroes. And I do like wushu films, so it's kind of cool. That's one thing I need to watch more of. So, you know, Chinese Asian martial arts films.
Yeah. Another person I've got is Sonny Chiba, who plays
Hattori Hanzo. Oh, he's brilliant.
Yeah, I love him in that. Who's that other guy that's in the shop with him?
Yeah.
It's like shit.
Yeah, you still get the sake.
Yeah.
If I were in the army and I was the emperor, you'd be the general, and you'd still be the one that gets the sake. That's what I need to try.
I really like that scene, the way they film it when she comes up to look at all the swords.
Yeah.
And you know the scene where he makes the sword and he said, like, I made a promise years ago to God that I wouldn't make something that kills people, but I've just broken it. I think that's such a great scene.
That's brilliant. But he's like he really must Bill really pissed him off to actually for him to break a 28-year vow.
Yeah.
So it's
Although talking of good dialogue as well, in Volume 2 has one of my favourite sort of, you know, those like Tarantino conversations or monologues where they talk for ages about a certain thing. When he talks about Superman and Clark Kent.
Yeah.
And it's something I've actually used in debates with people, like to do with superheroes, to explain who they are. And I always think, wow, he wrote that just as a monologue, and I'm using it as an argument.
But it's true. It's completely true. And you know, you wouldn't really think, because Tarantino's never done a superhero movie, that, you know, a comic book superhero movie, that you'd think that dialogue coming out of a character that he wrote, it's so true, and it does sum up Superman so perfectly.
It's great. I love the fact that all his sort of, like we said before, the speech is normalized. It's like how normal people speak. Like even in Pulp Fiction, when they're talking about the Royale with cheese, like before that, gangsters only talked about gangster things, cops only talked about cop things, you know. And you think, oh, still, whether they're bad, whether they're good, whatever, they're still human beings, so they still talk about inane shite that you talk about every day, you know, like, oh, you can get it's not called a quarter pounder in France, you know, like, they do that in this one as well, where they sort of, like the Superman thing, and then in Reservoir Dogs, they talk about, funnily enough, they talk about something Pangreal was in.
Yeah.
You know, that's something real people do, that you do say, oh, wasn't that the thing so-and-so was in?
Yeah. And of course, you got the the True Blue, like a virgin speech at the start with Mr. Brown.
Yeah.
Do you think, in the Halloween 2018, where you've got the two cops in the car discussing sandwiches
Yeah.
as
About
well?
me.
Yeah. I think that's brilliant. Do you think that was actually inspired by...
It very well could have been. I mean, it was also directed by David Gordon Green, and he does stuff like that in his comedies. So I think that was sort of like that and the little black kid when he's talking about the weed.
Yeah.
I think those are the sort of. I mean, he may very well be a Tarantino fan, but a lot of his dialogue is sort of similar to that. But it's nice to see, even in something as stylized as a horror film or a slasher, just two cops sitting in a car talking about what their wives made them for lunch or what they made. Because that's what normal people do, isn't it?
I mean, I'll be honest, in the paid job, what gets me through the day is I'm thinking about the podcast, and I'm thinking about movies, and I use the paid job when I'm talking to people most of the time to spitball ideas. I'm actively telling people that now. The reason I talk about films so much is because I'm spitballing ideas and I'm just getting other people's opinions. A thing about if you ever want to, as film fanatics, if you ever want to find out what quote normal people think, ask normal people. They're not on your level, because you will actually find, they might have different things. You might be able to steal things. It's always good to have. We did it when we were doing a little contributor plug. When we were doing the commentary track for Nightmare 4, I asked my fiance, who'd never seen them before. I was asking her opinions of when we sat down and watched all the Nightmares. I was asking her opinion, and I ask her opinion a lot because she's educated in cinema, and she's learning it all the time. But to get an alternative opinion that's not studied the subject, it's just brilliant, because I actually stole a lot of stuff from her.
Yeah.
But I do.
Well, I mean, inspiration comes from everywhere.
Yeah.
Or it should do.
Definitely. I'm sorry, some of the audio was a bit dodgy on this, so yeah. So going back to Kill Bill. You know what? I actually made some notes on this. I think you can classify Reservoir Dogs to Jackie Brown. Then you've got, this is where it gets. I think you have to go Kill Bill and Grindhouse, because they're very similar.
Yeah.
Then you've got the revisionist Hollywood with Django to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So you've got three distinct periods of Tarantino.
Yeah, it's almost like the first three are like hyper-realistic. The next few are more fantastical. You've got Kill Bill, and like say Grindhouse is supposed to be like an old 70s movie. And I sort of think Inglourious Basterds is comic booky as well, in the way it sort of, the dialogue is and that. And then you've got the historical period with like Django and Hateful Eight and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's strange, yeah. I mean, like, what's the last film going to be, or whatever number it is? So that's what everyone's waiting for, isn't it?
Yeah, I just really wait. I'm just hoping that we just go. We did, like they did in Doctor Who. They just alter the timeline and say, "Yeah, I was only joking. I'm going to do another 10." Because he, as a director, I mean, he's a great writer, but as a director, he's superb. In fact, there's so much quotable stuff in all his movies. I mean, even something like when you watch Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, you may not think that it's that quotable, but after watching it, you're Rick fucking Dalton. That that's spot on. But did and another little thing I noticed, you've still got the red apple in the background in the poster, his brand of cigarettes.
Yeah, it's in all of them, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think I imagine it.
Another little thing that I noticed. The guy who plays the groom, Tommy Plimpton.
Yeah.
You know what he's really more known for? He's a makeup.
No, I've not seen it. I don't think I've seen him, or unless I haven't, don't know.
Yeah, he's a makeup artist.
All right.
He's worked on like The Guardian 2, Halloween 2018, Infinity War, Endgame, Deadpool. So he's
Wow.
successful. I think he's got some awards, but I couldn't pull them up. So I was like, wow, that was kind of, yeah. But we haven't discussed. What did you think about having Michael Madsen back then?
Oh, I love Michael Madsen in this. I think he's sort of not been in the last year very much, has he? I mean, or if he is, he's not in the long run. He's only in like a cameo in Hollywood, wasn't he?
Yeah. He's in Hateful Eight.
He's Cowpuncher Joe, isn't he?
Yeah. Joe Cage.
Yeah, no, I love Michael Madsen. In Tarantino films, I love him. I mean, I think he's always Mr. Blonde to me.
Yeah, definitely. He is.
But he's good as Bud as well, actually.
Yeah, I like the way he tells his brother that he pawned the sword, and he still got it. And I was like, wow, that's just to my brother Bud.
As well, when he's talking to Bill, and it's from like the sort of trailer at the end of Volume 1 where he says, "This woman deserves her revenge, and we deserve to die." I like the fact that he knows they've done wrong, but he's still a bad guy, so he's still got to go.
And the way that he maces, he's got the mace in one hand and the flashlight in the other. Says, "You keep going. You're going in the ground. You know, I'm going to go in the ground blind, or you're going to go in the ground with the flashlight."
Yeah.
And that is so claustrophobic.
Yeah, I hate that scene. Like, I mean, I like it. It's cool with the sort of Morricone style music and that, but yeah, I don't like things to do with being buried alive.
And it's the sound when they're drilling the nails into the coffin, coffin.
And the mud hitting the top of it.
Yeah. And where you find out about the whole thing with Pai Mei. And that's how he hates women, he hates loads of things. So she's, yeah.
Yeah.
And you find out he ripped out Ellie Driver's eye.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That is gross in itself. That really got me.
Yeah. Do you know the little sort of Easter egg about Paula Schultz, the name on the grave?
No, I don't know that one. What's that?
No, you know how they say look for the grave with Paula Schultz on it?
Yeah.
Well, apparently Tarantino's confirmed that she's a relative of King Schultz from Django.
Oh.
So it raises questions as well how they know who it is.
So it's all in the same universe.
Yeah. Which I really like. You know, and the fact that even in Hateful Eight you find out that is it Tim Roth's character is related to Michael Fassbender's character, isn't it? He's called Hickox, isn't he?
I did not know that. Nice.
So he's like a great grandfather of Michael Fassbender's character from Inglourious Basterds.
Oh, nice.
I love stuff like that. I think that's because it's not in your face. It's there. Like if you were to watch them all back to back, you'd be like, "Oh, on hit, wasn't I mentioned before?"
Yeah.
It wouldn't be like a alarm bell. This is the guy who's related to this guy.
But it's done so subtly. It's like in True Romance, they make Alabama.
Yeah, they mention her in Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah. So are they the same characters? No, it's yeah.
There's something I think mainstream franchises can't do right. You know, even something like Star Wars, they make the galaxy feel smaller because everyone's related in a way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why I think The Mandalorian is a lot better because there's no real characters. I mean, up to now, there's no real characters where you're like, oh, they're from the original trilogy. So there's no sort of baggage, and Tarantino does that all the time. You know, each characters are a set of new characters, and they may be like, if you listen to the names and stuff and the information that they talk about, you might be able to pick something up, but it's not in your face.
No, you can go into it as a standalone movie, and you don't have to look out for Easter eggs or how does this relate to this. And you know, I always, and one of the things, and I suppose this goes back to where I was when I started watching Tarantino films. You don't go just to watch a Tarantino film. You go to watch an education in cinema.
Yeah.
And that's what I love. I mean, I really don't want to go on too much about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood because I could talk about that all day, and that's for another time. But but I gotta admit, I was so surprised by how much I really enjoyed this movie after all these years.
Yeah, like I say, I went through a phase of absolutely loving it, then not really liking it that much, and then rediscovering it again, sort of thing. I think first time I sort of rediscovered it was one of my friends from school. She absolutely adores Tarantino, and she said, "Oh, you need to watch them back to back because they are better as one film." And I was like, "Oh, does it make a difference?" And then I watched them, and I thought, "Wow, it's a totally different experience." It's like, I know you don't like them, but if you watch all the Matrix films back to back, there's so much more. They make so much more sense, and it is weird when you think something like that wouldn't make a difference to how a film's watched, but it really does.
I might eventually, after Matrix 4 comes out, I might give it.
Yeah, you're not a fan of Matrix, are you?
Yeah. Was that your end or was that mine? That's
No idea.
Yeah. No, I'm not. It's. Yeah, we'll leave the Matrix bashing for another time, however, because I like Keanu Reeves as a person.
Yeah.
But I don't. But film wise, I like him in Bill and Ted, and that's really it. But I will give the Matrix a shot, no doubt. But you know what? You know Robert Rodriguez scored Volume 2.
Yeah, and was it RZA as well?
Yeah, he did
The
both
rap
of them.
band.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this was the dollar bet they had. Did you know about this?
Yeah, how he gave $1 to score Volume
Kill
2,
Bill.
whereas Tarantino got $1 for filming a scene in Sin City, which is the scene with Dwight. Yeah, the scene with Dwight with a gun in his head.
Yeah.
All right.
Good.
Yeah, the thing is, I hadn't watched Sin City in a long while, but I watched it
I haven't.
a few months ago with the boss, and you know, because it's like we're trying to build up a collection of comic book movies, and they said you've got to watch, you've got to watch Sin City. That's gruesome, but it's, you know, it's like very soon. I'm looking forward to when we do Dust for Dawn, which they should release a good Blu-ray on that, which brings us back to Earl McGraw, and which I think is brilliant how you get introduced to Earl McGraw in Dust for Dawn, and you have him in Kill Bill, and son number one. You don't even give his son a name; he's just son number one.
Yeah,
and I just
that's his real son, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just like the way he calls him son number one. I thought, it's just brilliant because it's like if you read the script to Desperado, Buscemi's characters just Buscemi. If you can't think of a name, you just call who you know is going to play him. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, I do like that scene because he is actually Al McGraw, isn't he? The character as well.
Like
he's the same guy.
Yes.
And then it sort of comes full circle even more in Planet Terror, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Where you find out his daughter is, and it's just, I love that sort of camaraderie they both have together, him and Rodriguez. It's like they're sort of kindred spirits. I would love to see a film they both directed together.
Oh, that'd be good.
You know, what in one film by both of them.
Other than Planet Terror and Death Proof, which they do individually, but they are, like I said, those two together is part of. I was getting into Rodriguez and Tarantino at the same time, so it's kind of Tarantino a bit earlier by a few years, but Rodriguez, because of the book Rebel Without a Crew, which is, in my opinion, the best book on filmmaking. It's sort of like I connect the two.
Yeah.
And so yeah. And he got the ending of Volume 1. The music is Shimon, if I'm right, his band.
Yeah, sorry.
So and it's also, if I'm right, the same music the same song they actually used at the start of Once Upon a Time in Mexico. Same song, different version, I think. So you've not seen Once Upon a Time in Mexico?
No, I haven't seen Desperado for years.
But you watched El Mariachi a few weeks ago.
Yeah, we did watch it, didn't we?
Yeah, well, we're going to have to sort out that Once Upon a Time in Mexico, which I think is a brilliant film.
I love that bit of music actually you're on about. The bit at the end of the first one where he says about her daughter being there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds really sort of Morricone, doesn't it? Like westernish.
Yeah, and it's it's like Rodriguez scores a lot of his films just like Carpenter does.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know what? I films like if you're new to the High Ground podcast and you're just watching, I'm sorry, listening because you like Quentin Tarantino or you like Kill Bill, check out some of our commentaries, which I think the Kill Bills would be absolutely perfect for after we've gone through all of these movies and all of that. So where we can actually point out a lot of this stuff. So where would you actually where would you actually rate now? Did you the Kill Bill films in relation to his other work?
I think they're sort of like the middle ones. Like they're the sort of the years where he passes from comic book into after Inglorious, but back into sort of like the historical stuff with Django. I think I think they're like the middling one. They're I mean I appreciate them much more for what they are now because I sort of educate myself on Tarantino in general. But yeah, I mean, I always remember them being enjoyable when I first saw them because of the action and the dialogue, and it was always an event to see a Tarantino film anyway. So yeah, I place them in the middle. I think I think probably my least favorite Tarantino film is probably Death. But it's not in a disparaging sense. It's just if I had to choose one that I find the least favorite. But no, Kill Bill I'd say is in the middle.
For me, Kill Bill is lower for me as the Death Flu though. The two that I least watch would be Inglourious Bastards and Death Proof.
Yeah,
but I think that in terms of runtime, they're easier to watch than something like Django Unchained and Hateful Eight. But I put Hateful Eight as a piece of work to be really high up there. But you comparing them to the classic three of Jackie Brown, Pulp Fiction, and Reservoir Dogs. I mean, it's the dialogue in those three, especially Pulp Fiction. So I would put it towards the end, but it's really hard for me.
It is, yeah.
Because I mean, like I said, I went for years with Jackie Brown being my favorite of his work, but now it's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and then the more you watch Hateful Eight, the more you appreciate it. And if you go back to watching Django Unchained, again, he's yet to direct a bad film, and that's always.
I agree with that.
And you'll always find you can go from one day going, well, I prefer this. I prefer Kill Bill 2 to Kill Bill 1, or I really like this in Death Proof, or Inglourious Bastards is good because of this. There's no. It's a hard one.
Yeah.
I mean, I found it, even though it was one of my favorites. I found when we did the Jackie Brown retrospective that to be quite hard because it was just kissing his ass.
Yeah.
It was, but like I said, I'm going to put it lower, in my opinion. I mean,
they're all good, aren't they? They're all like singular. There's no one where you kind of like get a bit bored here.
Yeah.
As you might do with some other directors' films that aren't so good.
I mean, I sat through. I went to cinema to see Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
Yeah, that's terrible, isn't it?
That was terrible. And I was like, oh, it's not going to be that bad. It's not going to be. I was like, oh, it's bad. But having said that, something like Spy Kids 3D was good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's, Kevin Smith made films which are subpar. So, but Tarantino is yet to make a film that I said like, I don't want to see that film because it's this. Tarantino's all of his their events.
Yeah.
They're masterpieces. Yeah. So, I think we've wrapped this up.
I think so, yeah.
So, So say again.
I think we've killed Bill.
Yeah. Oh, the ending is good though. I gotta go with that. This is a brilliant ending. And the way you go through all the characters of the films, but yeah. So this has been Kill Bill. I've been Stevie W.
Tell him.
See you soon.